Our next question, running back two, how do they address it? I don't think David Johnson's.
What these fans, man, these questions. I see this on Twitter. It blows my mind. Even with the signing for David Johnson, how do the Saints address running back two for the future? David Johnson is not in consideration for running back two of any team in the NFL. David Johnson was elevated from the practice squad because of a high level of injuries. Mark Ingram was supposed to be the running back two. Like, they see these signings, they've seen these transactions, and they cannot factor in, like, oh, there's been a ton of injuries. Oh, this guy's not even in the conversation. He's strictly on there to fill a roster spot, and then he is gone pecan. Like, no, David Johnson has nothing to do with it. How do they address the running back two for the future? Short answer, who gives a shit? Long answer, I don't know. Probably see if Mark Ingram's healthy next year. If not, go scoop up some other free agent. I don't think it's a... If I was in the front office of the Saints, my running back two, my future slot of running back two, that priority would be so low on the list. I'm not even sure if I would address it. That would be like 3 weeks before the season. I'd be like, oh, hey, is Mark Ingram our running back too? Yeah, he is. Okay, cool. Hey, is Mark Ingram our running back too? No, actually, he left. He's playing for the Chargers now. Oh shit, I guess we need to sign somebody. Hey, is boom available? Pick him up. Like, this is akin to me to like signing a defense in free agency for fantasy football. Like, who cares? Do it week to week. I mean, I'm trying to think of like the Chargers. Who's their running back to? You know, who's for so few teams does this matter. It's crazy that in a season where we're 3-8 or 3-7 or 4-8 or whatever we are after the Rams game, that this is a question. That Go DJ is wondering, like, he's laying at night, he's sitting up at night, and he's going, man, I wonder what the RB2 situation is for the future of the Saints. I need to know.
Part of that at all, he's kind of here as a stock.
I think that's what that smile's for. I think that smile is, am I answering a question about David Johnson in 2022? Am I asking a question about this?
Gap, just to kind of fill in the gaps for Mark Ingram. I think that's
no shit he is.
It's a priority this offseason, though. In the NFL, we like to say it's a passing league. Right now, it is actually a running league. Yards per completion are the lowest they've been in a long time.
We actually talked about that at the beginning of the year. The defenses are playing this like drop coverage to protect against the deep ball, so teams are being able to run more. What I'm trying to say, let me make sure my point is proven here. I'm not saying that running the ball doesn't matter. I'm saying that when you are a team that is in as dire straits as the Saints, you can't be worried about your running back two for the future situation. That just is going to happen. That's just going to come to you.
Yards per carry are way up. I think offenses have swung back to maybe more.
Let me rephrase this, actually. You shouldn't worry about your running back two for the future situation. You should worry about how can we get Alvin Kamara the ball more? How can we shore up our running back one situation? How can we get Alvin Kamara 20 carries a game? How can we get him 25 touches a game? How can we more creatively use him in the offense? How can we make sure that he's on the field? How can we make sure that David Johnson doesn't have to get carries? How can we make sure of that? That's what they need to be asking themselves, not who the RB2 is for the future. I think Alvin Kamara is a top 5 running back in the NFL. I'm okay with saying that. So I put him in the same categories as Nick Chubb, as Jonathan Taylor, as Christian McCaffrey, as those guys. And I'm not worried if I'm the Colts, who my RB2 for the future is. I'm not worried if I'm the Browns, who my RB2 for the future is. I'm worried about how I can get my best player, Alvin Kamara, more touches. That's what the Saints should be wondering. That's what Go DJ should be asking.
Powerful running game to counteract the smaller linebackers and the smaller defensive backs that have kind of brought into the league to defend the pass. So now there's kind of a shift back to a different style of football. I think it's huge that they get a bruiser next year.
Well, there's no question that's what this team wants to be in particular, though. They've shown it to us time and time again, and they're lost when they don't have a run game. They basically throw their hands up in the air and say, well, we can't do anything else when they don't start by running the ball and get themselves in favorable situations. So it's very important to this team. And, yeah, look, the only reason it wasn't a huge priority this offseason was because they had limited means, for one thing, and Mark Ingram still was showing a little bit of life left in his legs. He's going to be 1 year older next year. I think it's a position they need to get younger at.
You know what's weird is that I'm not saying Taysom should be the running back, but you'd think they would almost have like a running back 2.5, because Taysom should get 6-ish carries a game, right? If Kamara's getting 16-ish carries a game and Taysom's getting 6-ish, and they're getting, that's 22 to 25 carries from those two, your running back 2.5, as we'll call it, how many carries is he getting?
Nice to make it a draft priority, but since that first draft pick won't come until round 2, I have a hard time believing their first pick of this year's draft will be a running back.
No,
but
it won't
one
be.
way or another, upgrading that number 2 running back and thinking about what that position is going to look like long term for the future, because Alvin Kamara is eventually going to have a lot of tread on his tires too. Huge priority this offseason.
I thought they should have made it like a day 2 pick last year, honestly. In the way they're playing now, kind of says maybe they should have given this.
I think it's also college running backs generally drop in the draft. I mean, we could probably go right now. So, I mean, if you look here, Zach Charbonnet is the 4th rated prospect or running back prospect in the draft for NFLDraftBuzz.com. They have him out as like a 4th round pick. If you take Zach Charbonnet, likely 3rd or 4th round pick, if you take Charbonnet in the 4th round, that I consider that your running back 2. Like, running backs just drop. Running backs just flat out drop. So I don't think you don't have to reach. Like they were talking about take one day 1 or round 1. I don't think you need to do that anymore. I think you can get by taking a Charbonnet and saying, okay, we'll let Charbonnet be a running back 2.5, and we'll see how that works out. So this is what I would do. I mean, you're getting the 4th best prospect. 6'1", 220. He can catch the ball. He can do a little bit of everything. Charbonnet's been great at UCLA. So I think this is just, I thought about this for 5 minutes, and this is what I would do for my RB 2.5.